Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Congolese Arts, a rich and fascinating tradition, part 2 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Go ahead and make war. Then you'll join a group around the warm fire. Oh, sorry, inside the hot fire.
Mbote means hello in Lingala, one of the national languages of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, commonly known as the DRC. I'm Shungu. The earth-loving Congolese people are grateful that you're preserving our environment through green and kind living. May you enjoy happiness and good health. Welcome to our show, Congolese Arts, a rich and fascinating tradition, part 2 of 2. In the last episode, we introduced you to the traditional Congolese art of sculpture, mask making, and weaving, as well as the development of visual art in the DRC. Today we'll look at the country's music, instruments, and dance. In the past, people in many African countries use slit drums to send messages from one village to another or to broadcast news locally. This method was also utilized by many ethnic groups in the DRC. Several variations of the slit drum exist, but all share a similar basic structure, featuring a piece of wood hollowed out in the middle with 2 slits at the top and 2 sides that have different thicknesses and degrees of hollowness to produce different sounds. Striking near the hollower side results in lower notes, with the other side producing a higher range. Most slit drums have a cylindrical shape, but other shapes exist, including trapezoidal, half moon, boat, tulip, and zoomorphic. Apart from signaling messages, this type of hollowed-out lug drum can be played as a musical instrument in an ensemble. For example, a large trapezoidal slit drum has deep tones and is frequently played as a rhythmic bass instrument. To carry this type of drum, a drummer must use a thick rope to secure it on a shoulder. Besides various types of drums, Congolese artists have also invented many other traditional musical instruments in the harp, lamellophone, pluriarch, and lute families. Let's take a look at some of them. The people of Zande in the northeast region carve fine harps called kundi out of wood, usually exquisitely made with curved bodies and human heads. The kundi was favored by the Zande kings in the 19th century and was frequently played by royal harpists. Different types of lamellophones or thumb pianos can be found in many African countries. These instruments consist of about 24 iron tines set on anterior and posterior bridges and attached to a wooden soundboard. This small portable instrument is played by holding both sides with the hands and plucking the keys with the thumbs. The width of a metal key determines its pitch. In the past, the lamellophone was played to accompany storytelling, to set the narration space and add flavor to the story. The Ngala-speaking people of the western DRC call this instrument kizanji, among other names. Different regions have their own variations of the lamellophone, using different materials or different keys. The pluriarch is a bow lute chordophone, whose name means several bows in French. Although this instrument can be played using a technique similar to that used when playing a lute, its strings don't run parallel to one another above its neck. The Vili, Zande, and Yombe people named this instrument Nzambi and play it in their ritual dances. The numerous ethnic groups in the Democratic Republic of the Congo have created their own music and dance in accordance with their distinct cultural frameworks and lifestyles for different occasions. The repertoire is incredibly diverse and varies widely from region to region. It was not until the early 20th century that the people found a more unified form of musical expression and cultural identity through the development of Congolese rumba. The word rumba comes from Nkumba, which means navels in the Kikongo language. The rumba was a celebratory dance in the ancient kingdom of Congo, which now covers Angola, the Republic of the Congo, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The modern rumba, combining African drumming and Spanish melodies, became popular in Cuba in the 19th century. In the 1930s, Cuban rumba was brought to the DRC through gramophone records and gained further popularity in the 1940s when played on the radio. Congolese musicians embraced Cuban rumba and added to it their local elements, creating a new music and dance genre, Congolese rumba. In December 2021, UNESCO added Congolese rumba music and dance to the World Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity list based on its submission by two neighboring countries, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of the Congo.
In this world, nothing is as dear to someone as his or her own life. So there is no greater crime than taking life away, and no conditioned virtue brings greater merit than the act of saving beings and restoring their lives. Sachural Songje Dorje Rinpoche, vegetarian.
Joyful viewers, let's now pause for a moment to hear a brief message. We'll return shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our show profiling the arts and culture of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Regarding the place of Congolese rumba in people's lives, Paul Lepère Noa, a percussionist and artist from the DRC, says,
"The rumba for Congolese represents their whole life and the history of Congo, as all its biggest historical developments were accompanied by this music. There have been various changes, but there is always an inner element that remains and keeps in custody the soul of the Congolese."
The rapid growth of Congolese rumba in the 1950s is credited mainly to the establishment of the first professional band that played the music Le Grand Calais et l'Africain Jazz, or African Jazz, whose leader was Joseph Kapasale, also known as Le Grand Calais. The band merged traditional indigenous rhythms, Western performance styles, and instruments such as bass guitars, maracas, scrapers, flutes, saxophones, and trumpets. In 1960, Le Grand Calais' Independence Cha-Cha was performed for the first time just before the DRC declared its independence. Subsequently, it became a hit song in many African nations, reflecting the mood of a continent seeking freedom and sovereignty. Another influential band of the same period was OK Jazz, led by Franco Luambo. The band lasted almost 38 years and at one time had over 50 members. Later renamed Tepe OK Jazz, the band was a hub for musical talent and produced many popular hits. According to Dr. Bob W. White, a social anthropologist from the University of Montreal, the sound of African jazz was a clean, cosmopolitan, modernist sound, while OK Jazz was a more rootsy, traditionalist sound. Franco's masterful guitar techniques and revolutionary style have influenced later generations. Building on the Congolese rumba that emerged in the 1960s, another version of dance music with faster tempos and longer dance sequences appeared in the 1970s, spread to other African countries, and eventually came to Europe a decade later. This style was given the name soukous, based on the French word secousse, meaning to shake or jolt. Since then, Congolese music has continued to evolve along with the creative elements and interpretations introduced by new musicians. One of the most influential figures on the Congolese music scene is Papa Wemba, known as the King of Rumba Rock. In his musical career spanning more than 40 years, Papa Wemba created his own style of European-oriented pop that blended elements of Congo, Latin, and rock and won over audiences of different cultures. Due to the socio-political circumstances of the late 1970s and early 1980s, many Congolese musicians went abroad to start their careers, moving to neighboring countries in East Africa and Europe, as well as the United States. For years, the Congolese diaspora has brought a lively energy to the global music scene. The multi-award-winning pop singer-songwriter Trésor Riziki was an orphan from the DRC and became successful in South Africa. Many of his albums ranked in the top of the charts and won South African Music Awards. Regarding his music, Trésor said in a September 2020 interview with CNN that it's New Age African pop, a fusion of sounds from all over the continent. Drawing from his own painful experience as a migrant, he has become a United Nations Refugee Agency ambassador who actively champions the cause of displaced people. Gandhi Juna and Daju Juna Tsungula were born in Kinshasa, DRC, and raised in France. The brothers grew up listening to Congolese religious music, rumba, rap, and R&B. Together with other musicians of a similar background, they have added Lingala lyrics and rumba guitar riffs to the flourishing field of French rap. Gracias, or Dio Gracias Masumi, is a Finnish rapper who migrated from the DRC at a young age in the 1990s. He has released albums in English and Finnish, attracting audiences with his fusion of African roots and a Finnish upbringing. The Beta Mbonda band represents the newest generation of Congolese musicians in the 21st century. Coming from a disadvantaged neighborhood of Kinshasa, the young former street gang members made a shift, followed their interest in traditional Congolese music, and formed the band. They seek life's meaning through music and friendship, while proudly playing traditional instruments such as the marimba, the xylophone, the lukumbi, a six-toned slit drum, and the ditumba, an open-vase shaped drum. Their projects aim to reignite the art of making and repairing traditional musical instruments in Kinshasa and train young musicians. The inspiring story of this band was made into a documentary film in 2019 called Kinshasa Beta Mbonda.
The people scream because you cause suffering and agony for them in your war. But in hell, your screams will be louder, and louder than all of them.
Energetic viewers, thank you for your company today during our program, Congolese Arts, a Rich and Fascinating Tradition, Part 2 of 2. Up next is Shining World Compassion Award recipient, Vegan Power Athlete, the Perseverant Game Changer. May your heart and soul always resonate with the inner celestial melodies.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/CTAW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/CTAW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/CTAW.
Nossos programas oferecem vários idiomas. Acesse suprememastertv.com/schedule e suprememastertv.com/CTAW.